What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another NFL video, and in this video I will give you my predictions for over 50 of the biggest names in this year's NFL free agency. My best guess on where every player will land this offseason. Before I do, Gronk spike the like button and subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL free agency videos just like this. Let's kick it off at the running back position with Derrick Henry. Henry is the identity of the Titans. Tough, smash mouth football, and the biggest reason why they were capable of reaching the AFC Championship. GM John Robinson said the Titans will do everything in their power to bring back Henry, and I believe him. Melvin Gordon isn't going anywhere for cheap. The Dolphins have money to burn and can afford to spend some on a running back. The Finns had the worst running back situation in football in 2019 and are in a big need of a makeover at the position. In Gordon, you have a lead bell cow type of running back who can contribute in both the run and the pass game. He has explosive speed and will take pressure off your next, likely young, quarterback. Kenyon Drake's fit in Arizona is absolutely perfect. His skills mesh with what Cliff Kingsbury is looking for in a running back, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if the Cards chose to sign Drake over keeping David Johnson and actually decided to trade Johnson to, let's say, Tampa Bay. Carlos Hyde outperformed everyone's expectations in 2019, putting up a career high in rushing yards, going over 1,000 for the first time in his career. He's a solid first and second down back, and he won't be asking for a huge contract. The Texans need to spend their big money on the offensive line and the defensive side of the football. Hyde will remain a reliable option for at least one more season in Houston. The Dallas Cowboys secured Dak his go-to guy for years to come with Amari Cooper. Cooper has proven he can be an elite playmaker in the NFL and has shown great chemistry with Dak Prescott. At 25, he possesses everything you want in your number one wide receiver and comes without the flamboyant personality that we often see from those type of receivers. AJ Green is a very loyal player. He's also very quiet and hasn't made his thoughts known. I could see Green remaining a Bengal, but personally, I hope he signs with a contender. The Packers know they are one or two players away from a potential Super Bowl run. So even if Green is tagged, the Packers may be able to send an enticing enough trade to Cincinnati for Green to land in Green Bay. AJ solves the Packers' biggest offensive issue of 2019, not only giving Aaron someone to throw to outside of Devontae Adams, but forming arguably the best combination at the receiver position in the entire NFL. Emmanuel Sanders screams Baltimore Raven to me. Baltimore is known for acquiring aging receivers who can still play, like Steve Smith or Anquan Boldin. Sanders proved the haters wrong with a resurgent season in 2019. That Achilles injury wasn't going to stop him from getting paid. And I do think for Sanders, winning will hold the priority over the cash. So a contender like Baltimore is more than likely where he'll end up. The Raiders need a field stretcher, someone with speed that opposing defenses are afraid of. Robbie Anderson is one of the NFL's best deep threats. Plus, the Raiders have already shown interest, attempting to trade for Robbie at the 2019 NFL trade deadline. Due to both being known for their speed, Perryman is connected to Robbie Anderson in his destination. I think Anderson will price himself out of the Eagles' price range, meaning Philadelphia will look to add another speedy receiver, enter Perryman, one of the biggest question marks and riskiest players in free agency. But we've seen that glimpse of his upside, and the Eagles are desperate enough for a wide receiver like Perryman with the downfield playmaking ability. As much as I want to say that Hunter Henry will land in New England, Henry has way too much potential to hit the open market. The Chargers will keep him, especially if they're going to lose Melvin Gordon. Anthony Lynn recently called Henry one of the game's best combo tight ends. My guess is that you want to keep that type of guy on your team. Atlanta is letting Hooper reach free agency, which usually means they're willing to move on. And I don't blame them. Austin is likely to get a contract richer than his value. The Bills need 1 or 2 more targets for their young quarterback. They can cut Croft, who they tried to bring in last offseason, and give Josh Allen a reliable, smart, young tight end in Hooper, who can form a solid duo with Dawson Knox. Everybody knows that the Patriots need to address the tight end position. After losing Gronk, they easily had the worst tight end depth chart of any team in 2019. That won't happen again. Eric Ebron, while inconsistent, may be a value compared to some of these other players on the market. He's big, athletic, a red zone presence. He's a former first-round pick who's had some success playing the Patriots, which means that Belichick probably loves him. Cleveland is looking to move on from both of their starting tackles from 2019 and have vowed to bring in protection for Baker Mayfield. Signing the best available tackle on the market in Jack Conklin would be a huge step in unlocking the potential of the Browns offense. Jim Irsay has said that there is a strong likelihood that Costanzo ends up back in Indianapolis. And I agree. Costanzo is 31 and wants to retire a Colt. I believe he gets his wish, and the Colts bring back their entire offensive line for 2020. Coach Doug Peterson stated he wants Jason Peters back. Philadelphia is in perfect position to do so. They drafted Andre Dillard last offseason. Peters can start, and Dillard can step in to substitute Peters whenever he needs it. I don't think Andrew Whitworth is going anywhere. Whitworth reportedly wants to return to the Rams in 2020. He's too valuable to the Rams for the team to let him walk, and from a personal perspective, Andrew probably doesn't want to move his family for just one last season in the NFL. Keeping Aaron Rodgers protected is key to the Packers' success. Brian Bulaga has been great for them for years, on and off of the field. He could potentially be swept off his feet by a team that's desperate for a right tackle, but the Packers will likely make him their top priority. Brian Flores continues to create a tough team by adding Joe Thuney to the interior offensive line, an offensive line that was arguably the worst in all of football in 2019. Thuney is smart, experienced, and tough, and never missed a single game for the Patriots, ranking top 6 at his position 3 straight seasons. Ron Rivera values the ground game. He values offensive line. He values defensive line. Everything coming out of Washington leads me to believe that the Skins are likely to tag Scherf, especially with the uncertainty surrounding Trent Williams. The Jets have done an awful job opening up holes for Le'Veon Bell, and if they're going to get the most out of their asset at running back, they need a guard who can open up lanes. Glasgow can be that type of guy. He also offers the versatility to play center, and with the Jets having so many holes, it would be ideal to bring in a guy who can play and start at multiple positions. In McGovern, the Cardinals can lock down the center position for years to come with a young, solid player who Sean Kugler helped develop. McGovern moves well in the run game, making him a fit for Cliff Kingsbury's scheme. Chris Jones is way too good not to get franchise tagged. He's arguably the second best defensive lineman in the entire NFL. If he leaves the Chiefs, he will almost certainly be traded. Maybe to the Colts? The Lions have a giant spot to fill on their depth chart for a giant man. The man is DJ Reader, who has fallen under the radar the last couple of years in Houston thanks to JJ Watt, Clowney, and others. But Reader is one of the game's best run defenders and broke out as a pass rusher with a career-high number of hits on the quarterback in 2019. Not to mention, coming from Romeo Crennel's defense, his play will be transferable to Patricia's scheme. It doesn't make sense to deal multiple picks for a guy during a season and then not pay him. The Giants will lock up Leonard Williams and complete their interior of their defensive line. The Cardinals could really use help on the interior of their defensive line. Luckily, their new defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph, has some connections. Shelby Harris graded exceptionally well under Vance Joseph in 2018. Harris can help eat up bodies in the pass game for Chandler Jones, and more importantly, help the Cardinals' bottom 10 run defense of a year ago. Mike Daniels will have an opportunity to team back up with former coach and friend Mike McCarthy. Daniels likely won't break the bank, and the Cowboys have a clear need on the interior of their defensive line. The Packers lost the NFC Championship because they could not stop the run. Michael Brockers is the type of run stuffer and interior presence that the Packers need. Seems like the Tampa Bay Bucks are working to bring back Ndamukong Suh. Suh didn't put up the stats in 2019, but had a massively positive impact on all of the players on the defense, opening up space for Barrett, JPP, and specifically Vita Vea. Suh also wants to remain with the team going into 2020. The Ravens steal from the Steelers. Baltimore could really use a disruptive interior pass rusher just like Javon Hargrave to take up space and attention. Hargrave was one of the 15 highest graded interior pass rushers in 2019. The Broncos are likely to lose Shelby Harris, leaving a void at nose tackle. Fangio needs his big boys. Michael Pierce fits well within their defensive scheme and can play a near identical role to Harris. Gerald McCoy has expressed that he will only play for a contender. The Seahawks are in need of pass rushers. Almost their entire defensive line is entering free agency, so a one-year contract for McCoy makes a lot of sense. He fits the defense well, is playing at a pretty high level, can play in rotation on the inside, and help mentor some of the younger players along the Seahawks defensive line. Snacks and the Lions mutually ended their relationship. He's now a free man looking to go to a place where he can finish his career strong. How about the Super Bowl champs? Snacks played at an all-pro level under Spags in the past. Being a two-down run stuffer, he likely won't cost that much, and he can help solve the inconsistency of the Chiefs' run defense. I just don't know what sense it would make for Seattle to pay what they paid to get Jadeveon Clowney and then not sign Jadeveon Clowney. You can't strictly look at the sack numbers when it does come to Clowney. While he isn't one of the best edge players in the sport, his production doesn't really match the disruption he causes, and he has the capability of taking over games as a run defender, blitzer, or just a pure athlete. Seahawks, they understand that the edge position is a huge part of their defense, maybe even the most important part. Jacksonville will try their very best to keep Ngakoue, but I just don't see how they have enough money to do so, meaning a trade is probably the way to go. This is the offseason for the Bills to make a big splash. Buffalo is a team led by its defense, and Sean McDermott is missing one piece on his defensive line, a dominant edge rusher. Ngakoue would be a great fit for this defense and is the type of player who could take the Bills' defense from very good to great. Whether it is the franchise tag or a long-term extension, it doesn't matter. The Bucs will keep Barrett. It's hard to give away the NFL's leading sack man. Arians has made it known that bringing back Barrett is at the top of the offseason to-do list, and Shaq has stated he would be even willing to take less to stay in Tampa. I previously thought this wouldn't work. It still might not happen, but the 49ers seem to be in the mindset that they'll be bringing back the sack leader from 2019, Eric Armstead, and keeping the NFL's best defensive line together for the foreseeable future. The Jets have been in need of an edge presence for seasons, considering New York offered a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick for Fowler before he was even great, before he was even traded to the Rams. This makes a lot of sense. Buyer beware when it comes to Bud Dupree. He's really only had one good season. which is why I think that the Steelers will be able to eventually re-sign him. Pittsburgh has expressed that they want Dupree to finish his career as a Steeler, and they want to sign him to a long-term deal. The Ravens have been willing to let their edge rushers leave in the past, and even though Judon's production maybe be a little hard to replicate for another team, Za'Darius Smith was able to leave Baltimore and play even better in Green Bay. So you add Judon to a team with a creative defensive mind like, let's say, the Dolphins, and I don't think it will be too hard for Flores to find ways to maximize his talent. The Fins inquired about Jadeveon Clowney before, and Judon could be the one to really fit the versatile edge pass rusher. Joe Judge will have pull with former Patriot players. Van Noy has already expressed how much he loves Joe Judge. Kyle is the type of worker and smart player that Judge is looking for. He fits the scheme, he can fill a need at 2 different positions, inside linebacker or edge, plus Patrick Graham is the team's defensive coordinator, who is also a New England guy. He'll probably have a pretty good idea on how to utilize Kyle Van Noy's skill set within the Giants defense. Vic Beasley is the type of athletic edge rusher that the Raiders need. An edge rusher who doesn't really have to break the bank here. The Raiders have some young pieces already in place, but Beasley could provide a boost to the rotation and add to the pass rush in Vegas. The Cardinals need someone opposite of Chandler Jones who can get after the quarterback. After returning from injury last season, JPP finished 2019 strong and has proven that he can still play, and he can play in a variety of fronts and schemes. He won't cost as much as the top guys on the market and is suited as a complementary pass rusher at this point in his career. The Raiders need a linebacker desperately. Littleton is the type of linebacker that you build your defense around. He can run, he can cover, with the best at his position. In a division with the Chiefs, you need a player at linebacker like Littleton. It's essential. At this point, I think Jamie kind of understands where he plays best, and that's New England. Belichick just knows how to get the best out of him, period. With Kyle Van Noy likely leaving the Patriots, I don't think the Pats will allow both of their valuable linebackers to leave. Although, if one of his former coaches in New York, Miami, or Detroit offers him more money, he might actually decide to cash in. The Browns seem to be interested in bringing back Schobert, but I could see them being outbid for his services. The Broncos are in need of a smart coverage linebacker like Schobert. The middle linebacker is a key piece to Fangio's defense, and Joe has the intelligence and ability to fill that position. A lot of teams could use Byron Jones, but none more than the Texans. A corner who specializes in man-to-man coverage. Goes to a team who desperately wanted to play man, but they simply couldn't. They didn't have the studs to be able to. The Texans signed Jones, and now have one of the best shutdown guys in the league to help compete in the AFC. The Eagles have had a massive need at corner for as long as I can remember. Chris Harris is nearing the end of his career and is looking to win somewhere. Philadelphia has been to the playoffs 3 seasons in a row. Signing Harris would instantly be adding arguably the best slot corner in the game and increase the Eagles' chances as a contender in the NFC. Carolina seems to be willing to let Bradbury walk. Ron Rivera is now the coach in Washington and is looking to revamp the secondary, already releasing Josh Norman, while Dunbar has requested a trade. Oh, and Bradbury claimed that teaming up with Rivera in Washington would be his dream scenario. Harris will likely be too expensive for the Vikings, a team that ranks near the bottom in available cap space, meaning Harris will be looking to go elsewhere. He has multiple connections to Cleveland, who has an opening at free safety. Former Vikings offensive coordinator Stefanski is now the team's new head coach. New defensive back coach and pass game coordinator Jeff Howard was Harris's assistant defensive backs coach in Minnesota. The Browns shore up the back end with a playmaker in the deep middle of the field. Simmons broke out in 2019, which seems to be a trend with Vic Fangio's safeties. Justin has come out and said that he expects to be tagged. So if he claims it, I'll repeat it. Justin Simmons will be tagged and eventually given an extension to play for the Broncos in Denver. Devin is a career Patriot, and all he wants to do is play with his brother Jason. The Patriots can pick up Jason's option for 2020. I assume they will. Devin is the leader of the Patriots defense, an important player of the franchise, and a fan favorite. I expect him to remain in New England. Jimmy Ward is maybe the most underrated player on the 49ers defense. He's valuable to what they do schematically. He plays many roles and positions. And my hunch is that the 49ers kind of want to try to keep the defense together as much as possible. Ward will remain in San Fran. I feel stronger about this one than I do Armstead. Thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed, Gronk spike the like button and subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL free agency videos just like this. If you're interested in more free agency predictions, check out my free agency playlist. Peace.